There comes a moment in every man's life when silence speaks louder than any words. Picture this. You turn your back, you walk away without a fight, without an explanation, and suddenly her entire world flips upside down. The very woman who once treated you like an option now finds herself unsettled, confused, even desperate. It almost feels like magic, doesn't it? But it's not magic. It's power. The power of a man who knows when to walk away. Have you ever noticed how a woman's silence can quickly turn into sudden attention the moment you stop caring? One day she acts distant, arrogant, and entitled. She keeps you waiting. She cancels plans. She tests how much you'll tolerate. But the moment you withdraw, the moment you reclaim your energy, she feels the ground beneath her feet start to crumble. Her silence transforms into messages that say, "Hey, stranger." Her indifference becomes late-night scrolling through your profile, subtle likes or sudden check-ins. She isn't missing you. She's missing the power she once held over you. This is the difference between men who chase and men who walk away. A man who chases sacrifices his peace, his time, and his dignity to prove himself to someone who never valued him. A man who walks away, on the other hand, isn't playing games. He isn't trying to manipulate her into wanting him back. He simply recognizes his worth and refuses to let anyone take it for granted. That's where Stoicism enters the picture. The Stoics taught us that true freedom comes not from controlling others, but from mastering ourselves. Epictetus once said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Walking away is the ultimate act of self-mastery. You are no longer chained to her moods, her games, or her validation. Instead, you become anchored in your own strength, your own values, and your own peace of mind. This video isn't about bitterness, revenge, or tricks to win her back. It's about reclaiming your power as a man and living by a philosophy that has guided warriors, emperors, and thinkers for centuries. If you're ready to master this inner power, stay with me until the end. And don't forget to subscribe to Stoic Advice for Men so this wisdom reaches more brothers like you. Because once you learn the true power of walking away, you'll never see relationships the same way again. When a man finally chooses to walk away, the first thing that happens inside a woman's world is shock. And with shock comes denial. For most of her life, she hasn't needed physical strength to hold power over men. She doesn't need to fight or force her way into control. Instead, she uses psychology, subtle manipulation, and the delicate game of attention. A woman understands something many men never realize. You don't have to give a man your whole heart to keep him hooked. You just need to feed him crumbs. A quick smile here, a slow reply there, a touch of affection at the right time, and suddenly he's chasing, investing, and proving himself without her ever committing fully. It's not love she offers. It's just enough validation to make him think he matters. And for too long, many men accept this bargain. They give more, while she gives less until the imbalance becomes the norm. But when a man wakes up, when he sees the trap for what it is and withdraws his energy, everything shifts. He stops calling first. He doesn't send good morning texts. He no longer rearranges his schedule to fit hers. And this act, this quiet refusal to play the game, throws her into shock. On the surface, she acts unaffected. She pretends she hasn't noticed. If anyone asked, she'd say, "Oh, I'm fine. I don't even think about him." She might even double down on arrogance, posting photos that scream confidence, as if to prove she's unbothered. But beneath the mask, her mind is in chaos. She's checking her phone constantly, scanning for a notification that never arrives. She starts liking old photos of yours, sending casual "Hey stranger" messages, or suddenly commenting on things she used to ignore. Each action is a small test. Is he still under my control? Will he still respond the way he used to? Take a simple example. A man who used to message her daily suddenly falls silent. At first, she dismisses it. He must be busy. He'll text later. But when hours turn into days, denial creeps in. She sends a playful text to bait him. She likes his story on social media to signal her presence. And when there's still no reply, panic sets in. She thought she could control his attention forever. And now that control is slipping away. This is the brutal reality. Walking away removes the fuel that powered her ego. For the first time, she feels powerless. And that feeling is something she has spent her entire life avoiding. Here's where Stoicism gives us clarity. Epictetus reminds us, we cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond. You can't control her reaction when you withdraw. She may panic, she may test, she may lash out, but none of that is your concern. What you can control is your response, the calm decision to stay grounded, to not break silence just because she stirs the waters. That is real strength. And here's the paradox. The more unaffected you remain, the more her denial crumbles. At first she tells herself, he's just playing a game, he'll be back. But every hour you don't return, every day you stay silent, the cracks in her confidence grow deeper. The woman who once fed you crumbs now finds herself starving for your attention. Brothers, this is why walking away is not an act of cruelty. It's an act of liberation. You are no longer chained to her inconsistent approval. You no longer bend your life around her whims. Instead, you stand firm in your own peace. And if you've ever felt that urge to text back too soon, pause. Remember, walking away is not cruelty. It's reclaiming your peace. Share your story in the comments so we grow stronger together. If shock and denial are the first cracks in her armor, self-doubt is the earthquake that follows. Most women, especially in their younger years, are rarely forced to face rejection. From the time they step into adulthood, they're used to being pursued. Compliments, messages, offers, attention, it flows to them like water. They don't have to ask for it, it's simply there. And because of this, they build a sense of certainty. Men will always chase me. I'll never be without options. But when a man walks away, and truly means it, something entirely new begins to surface inside her. A question she has never wanted to face. Am I not as special as I thought? Her inner dialogue becomes a storm. Am I losing my looks? Did he find someone better? Was I not enough for him? Has my power faded? These thoughts eat away at the very foundation of her self-image. Why? Because so much of her identity has been built on the assumption that she is desirable, valuable, irresistible. And when a man who once desired her refuses to play the game any longer, it forces her to confront a truth she's not prepared for. Maybe she isn't in control. This is when jealousy creeps in. She begins watching you more closely than ever before, but not with affection, with insecurity. She scrolls through your social media, checking who liked your pictures. She notices comments she would have ignored before, now dissecting every word. She stalks your followers, searching for clues. Every new interaction becomes a threat in her mind. Take a simple example. A man who once texted her daily goes completely silent. At first, she shrugs it off, convinced he'll return. But when silence stretches on, she spends longer in front of the mirror. She applies more makeup, changes her style, maybe even posts pictures meant to provoke curiosity. These are not signs of confidence. They're desperate attempts to restore a feeling of control she's already lost. The truth is, her worth in her own eyes has always been tied to the attention she receives. When that attention dries up, it feels like losing oxygen. She will try to breathe again by pulling it from you, from others, from anyone who will give her the validation she craves. But here's the irony. The more she seeks it, the weaker she feels inside. This is where the wisdom of Marcus Aurelius cuts through the fog. He once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." What destroys her is not your silence, but her own inability to master her mind. She cannot accept rejection with calmness. She cannot separate her worth from your attention, and so her inner world collapses. But for you, brother, this is where you must stand firm. When you stop chasing, you aren't punishing her. You're protecting yourself. You're reclaiming the time and energy you once wasted proving yourself to someone who didn't deserve it. You're choosing mastery over desperation. This is why your silence is so powerful. It forces her into reflection. It makes her face truths she has never wanted to see. And though she will cover it with bravado, posting photos, laughing loudly, pretending she's fine, inside, the doubt gnaws at her. Why did he leave? Why didn't he fight for me? Maybe I wasn't good enough after all. That's the turning point. The woman who once had you chasing now begins to chase shadows of her own insecurity. She becomes the one haunted by questions, while you stand freer than ever. Brothers, notice this. When you stop chasing, you force respect. If this truth resonates, hit like so YouTube pushes it to men who need it most. After shock, denial, and the gnawing pain of self-doubt, she enters the final phase: rationalization and rebound. This is where her mind wages war against itself, trying desperately to protect her ego from the truth she cannot bear, that she lost control over a man who refused to be controlled. Rationalization is her shield. Instead of admitting that you walked away on your own terms, she rewrites the story. She tells herself, "He was weak," or "I wasn't that into him anyway." Sometimes she convinces herself, "I ended things first." None of it is true, but the lies are necessary to soften the sting of rejection. She can't face the reality that the power dynamic flipped, so she bends the narrative until it feels safer. To her friends, she says things like, "He was too needy," or "He was obsessed with me, and that's why it ended." Outwardly, she projects confidence, but inwardly, she's fragile, clinging to excuses that keep her from facing the painful fact: she fumbled a man who wouldn't play her games. But rationalization alone isn't enough. Words can't fully fill the void. That's when she turns to the rebound. She seeks out a man who is easy to control, a man who will text her constantly, shower her with compliments, and never challenge her. This rebound isn't about love, it's about ego repair. He becomes an emotional bandage, not a true partner. Suddenly, her social media lights up with smiles, trips, and perfect couple photos. She posts happy pictures on vacation, laughing with friends, living her best life. But look closer, and you'll see the cracks. Every image is carefully crafted for one audience: you. She wants you to see her joy. She wants you to believe she has moved on effortlessly. But the truth is, those photos aren't for her. They're for you. The goal isn't happiness, it's jealousy. And yet, deep inside, she knows the rebound cannot replace what she lost. Why? Because women never respect men they can fully control. At first, she enjoys the attention, the ease, the feeling of being worshipped. But quickly, the boredom sets in. He doesn't challenge her. He doesn't make her earn anything. He doesn't hold any mystery. His devotion feels cheap compared to your silence. This is the irony of her rebound strategy. She wanted to prove her value, but instead she proves to herself that weak men can never satisfy her. She may cheat on him, or pull away without warning. And when the thrill fades, her mind inevitably drifts back to you, the man who walked away, the man who didn't crumble under her control. She replays the story in her head. She wonders why you didn't fight for her, why you didn't return like every other man before you. And this realization cuts deeper than anything else. She traded strength for comfort, power for predictability. She downgraded, and she knows it. Seneca once said, "It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more. That is poor." Her craving for endless validation, her desperate need for constant attention, has left her poorer in spirit than ever before. She may have a new man by her side, but her heart is restless, unsatisfied, always looking back at the one who refused to bow. This is why so many women eventually circle back, not because they truly love the man they lost, but because they miss the challenge, the respect, the feeling of chasing someone they couldn't control. They come back because they discover, too late, that the grass was not greener, it was barren. But by the time she reaches this point, the man who embraced Stoicism has already moved on. He no longer seeks validation in her return. He understands what Epictetus and Seneca taught, that freedom lies not in winning her back, but in mastering himself. The rebound phase exposes not his weakness, but hers. And so she is left with the bitter truth. She lost a man who refused to be owned, and she replaced him with a man who never mattered. Brothers, this is the cycle. Have you seen this pattern in your own life? Comment below. Your story might free another man who is trapped. At the end of it all, one truth remains clear. Women respect only the men they cannot control. Every phase we've explored, shock, denial, self-doubt, rationalization, and rebound comes back to a single principle. The moment you stop chasing, you shatter the illusion of power she thought she held. When you refuse to play her games, you force her to confront a reality she cannot escape. Her influence over you has ended. Walking away is not about punishing her. It is not revenge, nor is it manipulation. It is the ultimate act of strength, the Stoic refusal to surrender your dignity, your time, and your peace to someone who doesn't value them. A man who chases loses himself. A man who walks away finds himself. The Stoics knew this centuries ago. They taught that freedom isn't found in controlling others, but in mastering your own mind and actions. You cannot dictate her response. You cannot force her to respect you, but you can govern yourself. You can choose not to answer that text. You can choose silence over begging. You can choose to walk away with calm confidence, knowing that your worth does not rise or fall with her opinion. This is the lesson that separates men who are perpetually trapped from those who rise above. Control yourself, and you will never again fear losing her. Because the truth is, you are not the one at risk of loss. She is. She loses the man who refused to be controlled. She loses the challenge, the respect, and the strength she once tested and underestimated. And once she realizes it, it is always too late. So remember this, brothers. You are the prize. You are not the option. You are not the backup plan. You are not the desperate chaser. You are the man who walks away when his peace is threatened. And in doing so, you become untouchable. If this message opened your eyes, type below, "I am unstoppable." And if you're ready to live as a Stoic man, silent, strong, unshakable, subscribe to Stoic Advice for Men right now. Share this video with a brother who needs to hear it. Together we build a generation of men who know their worth. Because when you master the art of walking away, you don't just win her respect, you win your freedom. And that, brothers, is the ultimate power.